LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot stop your new clients from emailing you at 3 a.m. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you be in 3 places at once. And while we can't help you organize your calendar, LinkedIn can help you land more clients so you have a calendar to organize. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
There is no hood like parenthood. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my show, I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, which I call our Mom Sense and Dad Sense. I've had the privilege of working with Mom 2.0, March of Dimes, and the White House, and have had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton. It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
That's Total Mom Sense is a production of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. To join my tribe, visit that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. Now let's dive in to today's episode. You know how I'm always advocating for trusting your mom sense. Well, here's something my mom sense wishes I'd known when my kids were babies. There's actually an eating window, roughly 6 to 18 months, when babies are most open to new flavors and textures. Use it and you raise a worldly, adventurous eater. Miss it and you're negotiating with a 4-year-old over plain pasta for the next decade. That's exactly what Global is built around. It's a baby and toddler food company that makes whole meals in glass jars. Think pad thai and tikka masala, which is a household fave. These babies are introduced to diverse flavors and top allergens right from the start. And here's something I didn't know until recently. The way babies eat matters just as much as what they eat. When babies squeeze their food out of a pouch, they're actually bypassing the chewing, tasting, and oral motor development that teaches them how to eat. Spoon feeding from a jar, seeing the food, smelling it, experiencing the texture, that's how the whole learning and sensory process works. And the glass jars means 0 microplastics leaching into your baby's food, which as a mom, I care so much about. I'm so glad I got to interview the founder, Erica Beth Levin, on how she conceptualized Global from a problem she faced with her 2 little leaders. And now it's here. Visit global.com, GLOBOWL, and use code MOMSENSE, MOMSENSE, for 20% off. That's global.com and my code MOMSENSE for 20% off. Bon appetit! Hi, everyone. Welcome back to That's Total Mom Sense. I am at Gotham Productions Studios with my lovely guest today, who's become a really good friend, Dr. Kim Van Dusen, also known as the Parentologist. Now, I want to kick it off by how many of you, just, raise your hand in your head, feel like there's a lot more chaos in your home than connection? Yes. And would you ever think that, much like play-based learning, there is a way to parent through play? And my guest here wrote a book on it. It's called Parenting Through Play. So we are going to get into all of the strategies that she has in store for us. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist and mom of 2. So she is in the weeds with us. And I'm just so excited to learn and implement all these tools in our home and, party of 5. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
Thank you. We met through Meta, where we both serve as parenting creators, and we have just hit it off. I still remember our dinner at Mom 2.0 last year, where we were seated together and we just dove into like elementary school, like squabbles and personal life, and I loved it. And it was so refreshing to be completely honest with someone who at the time was a complete stranger. So I really, really appreciate that we have this like fast friendship.
Yes, me too. That was a great conversation. And we were just lucky to be sat together. Yes. They were assigned seats and we just scooted next to each other. And I don't think we stopped talking the entire night. It was an amazing conversation. We connected so quickly and over motherhood and over our children. So that was really our connecting point. And then and broadcasting and everything else that we have in common. So it was a great moment.
It was so lovely. I want you to take it back because, as a thought leader in all things parenting today and the day and age that we're living in, I want to meet little Kim. The other little Kim. When she was younger. You were in a family of 5 and you were the middle child, and your parents actually recently celebrated their 50th anniversary. So their golden anniversary. So there's so many kind of checked boxes there, but I want to hear from you firsthand what it was like growing up.
I had a great childhood. I really did. My parents were very present. We did a lot of traveling together. That's one of my best memories, I think, is just I have dual citizenship with the U.S. and the U.K.
Oh, nice.
So my mom was born in Scotland, and so we did a lot of traveling as a child to Europe and just everywhere, New York, and all sorts of places. And it was just such a great way to bond as a family. It was a great way to connect. I mean, back then we didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet. I'm kind of a dinosaur in that way, but, we didn't have those things. So really all we had was connection. We had play. And so maybe that was where the journey started. I'm not sure. But, it was just, I remember just Christmas mornings and just, waking up and just having just family time or any time during the holidays, any holiday, summers, just playing outside, spending hours riding my bike in the neighborhood, meeting friends at their houses and just knocking on their door and saying, will you come out and play?
Yes.
It was such an integral part of our culture back then. And I feel like we're missing that a little bit now. And so I think just going back old school play, I think we're trying to cultivate that more in our current culture because I think people that were raised in that way, like myself, are missing it and know that our children aren't getting the same type of environment. So that's what I remember as a kid, just, really having that time to just be and, going on long car rides, and you didn't have a tablet or a phone to keep you busy. Like you really just looked outside the window or maybe had a coloring book.
Yeah. Or play the license plate game.
Yeah. I mean, you made up games, right?
Yes.
So, really and truly going back to that original nature of how we were raised is really, partly what I'm going back to. And of course, it's more, we'll talk later about how it's backed up now by evidence-based research and why it works so well. But that's really, what I remember as a child and the memories that I've held on. I don't remember the little everyday moments, but I remember those big moments of just that connection, that play, that freedom.
Yes.
Good memories.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's what shapes us. What led to pursuing therapy for you? Because you come from, broadcast.
Yeah.
So
I have a very eclectic background.
Yes, I love that.
I do.
You can dip your toe into many different fields and hold your own. And I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. And I think they both have cultivated where I am today. And, being able to do things like podcasting or TV interviews and things like that, because I have experience from both sides of the spectrum.
Yes.
So my undergraduate was at UCLA and I actually graduated in sociology. So there was just a pull that I had towards learning how people think, learning how people behave. And so that's how it started. And then, of course, I got the media bug living in Southern California and living close to LA and, seeing all the celebrities on the red carpet and thinking, oh, one day that's what I want to do. And so went to Syracuse for my first master's and in broadcast journalism.
Yes. It's Newhouse, right?
Newhouse,
yes.
Yeah. So which has opened a lot of doors for me, to be honest, and worked for E! Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition, Fox Sports Radio, all sorts of places, doing what I love, having conversations, networking, talking with people, having having real conversations. And then that psychology bug kept hitting me, tapping me on the shoulder saying, you might want to change careers, because after a while, I just felt like there was something more that I wanted to learn and do. And so I eventually went back and got a second master's in marriage and family therapy, and then eventually my doctorate in psychology, and then became a licensed family and child therapist, and then made a specialty into play therapy, which was extra coursework and extra time, but well worth it, because the second I took my first play therapy class and the second I started working with children, I knew that was my niche. Like it just felt like home. That's what I wanted to do. And then obviously becoming a mom after that and raising my own children and just mixing the professional expertise and the personal experience of children really in childhood is really where I am today. So, but I'm able to pull from all those experiences in what I do. And it's great to be able to utilize all of them. I wouldn't regret it for anything. I really like where I am, the navigation I led to where I am today.
I think that's wonderful. And I think it's so important to put on different hats and see through different vantage points. And you can do that. You can see as a mom, as a therapist, as a broadcaster and storyteller, and, kind of work things around who that is for the moment. It's great. So tell us about the core reframe. Behavior is communication.
Yes.
I love that. Explain.
Okay, so going back to the way I believe we were raised when we were children, and I'll speak specifically for myself and anyone who was raised in that generation, being raised by a baby boomer or a Generation Xer, and, it came from a very punitive place. It came from a lot of punishments, a lot of you do as what you're told.
Yes.
I'm the adult, you're the child, you do as I say. And then when we ask why, the answer we would typically get is because I said so. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people my age, parents my age, rebelled from that a little bit and then almost overcompensated into extreme gentle parenting, extreme conscious parenting where it became very permissive.
It's too soft.
Right? So it went from punitive and punishment based to permissive. And so my parenting style and method comes right in the middle. It kind of meets parents in the middle, where children do thrive on routine and structure, and they also thrive on limits and boundaries. I have a whole chapter on it. So it's very important to have those things, and even some consequences once in a while, that are appropriate for their age and for, I say, let the punishment fit the crime, Don't take the iPad away for an entire week for one small business behavior, So I go through that in the book. But also from a positive behavior supports perspective is to find when they're being good and find those moments of those glimmers, if you will, of when they are behaving, to focus on those behaviors so they can repeat them in the future. And then come, obviously, and we'll talk more about this, but come from more of a play-based perspective, which again is evidence-based and research back, that it works and actually makes a parent's job easier, more fun, and more peaceful in the long run.
Yes,
so it kind of meets everyone in the middle with a little bit of a play-based spin on it. So
yeah, I want to get into that because I think, the onus is on parents to allow ourselves to be playful, because adults are really serious. And I still remember when my youngest, Trey, was saying, this was just before first grade, where he saw that the circle time and the kitchen set and all the fun stuff in the kindergarten room was no longer. There were desks. He said, I don't want to go to school. It's not going to be fun anymore. And I just thought, like, my heart sunk, because he also realized that it's going to be a lot of sitting and So I think it's important that we revive the fun, and we have to teach along the way. We have to have those teachable moments. So as an example, tell us what to do in certain scenarios that are everyday. One being getting out of the house and, getting somewhere on time. And this could be for your toddler, where you're like, come on, let me help you with your shoes. And, we have to make it to like daycare or mommy and me class. Or you're a Munchie schooler who has a baseball game and needs to get there to the field on time. How do we get them out without having to repeat, come on, we're late, it's 5:30, let's go. Like, how do we avoid that?
Right, because that boils everyone's stress levels, to the max, right?
Yes.
And everyone gets frustrated, and then everyone is escalated, and then someone either ends up yelling or crying or maybe all of it. So what I do is I give very modern, practical, simple how-tos in the book, lots of creative strategies on how to achieve that for everyday parents, for everyday situations like this, cleaning up the room, getting out the door quickly. So a couple of my favorites. And again, it goes back to that mindful shift that we need to make to become more playful. Yeah. And it's teachable. Yeah. Every parent can be taught it. It's a skill that can be learned. Okay. So the most resistant parent who thinks, oh, that's not for me, it can be. And really and truly, if they just really wholeheartedly have an open mind and try it, they'll know that it works and they'll see that the proof is in the pudding, and then they'll continue to do it. And the more you do it and the more practice you get, the easier it becomes and the more natural it'll become also. Okay. So a couple quick strategies that I can think off the top of my head. There's a lot more in the book. Pretend there's a volcano in the house, especially if they're little. Okay. There's a volcano about to explode, and really get into it, and it doesn't take anything else. You don't actually have to buy anything or do anything more than just the language you use. Yeah. So there's a volcano and it's about to explode, and you do a countdown. We have 2 minutes until it's going to explode. So hurry, get your clothes on, go, and really, put the urgency behind it. Mm-hmm. Or, a lot of times you can do floor is lava.
Floor is lava, yep.
Right. That one's a fun one. Sometimes I just get a timer out and I say, okay, let's beat your time from when you got ready yesterday. And you make it into a game. And so when you do that, the kids will get into it too, and they'll be competitive with themselves. Yes. And want to do it. If you have a sibling, sometimes you can play the competition game, but if there's a winner and a loser, sometimes that can get a little icky. Yeah, so, even just have them compete against themselves for their personal best, even if there is a sibling in the house.
Oh, I love it. And then just time beat your PR from yesterday.
Exactly.
And do you recommend the sand timers or the ones with the clicking, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Any timer you have. Use Alexa if you have one of those at home, or an Echo. Use your iPhone or, smartphone. Nice. Use whatever you have at home. If you even just want to count to 10, or use a microwave timer or a sand timer if you have it. Obviously, the kids love the visual, but if they're running around, they're not going to be watching it per se. So really and truly, I just try to make it as easy as possible on parents to just, whatever the closest timer is, use that one.
Yeah, that's so fun. I love it. Okay, I want to give you some more. What would you say when you have, let's say, like, again, an elementary schooler, and your sweet spot is 2 to 12, which I think, let's double down on that. When they are playing a video game, they're sucked in, they don't want to press pause, which I understand. And they're saying, no, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, and then 5 more minutes.
It's like that Jonas Brothers song. Give me 5 more minutes.
And it's like, homie, it became 25 real quick. Why? What? So how do we, nip that in the bud? Yeah, where, it's like we have limits. There's dinner time.
Yes.
How do we?
It is a common scenario for sure. So the first thing I suggest is with children, especially, like that visual component is really helpful. So whether it's a sand timer or a kitchen timer or something they can tangibly touch, see, hear is the best, because, a lot of kids, especially under a certain age, don't know how to tell time. Yeah. And so you could say 2 minutes and they could think it's 10, or they'll think it's 30 seconds. So really, for them to make it believable, show them the timer and then set the timer and then let them know ahead of time what the expectation is. When the timer goes off, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go wash our hands to get ready for dinner, or we're going to put your shoes on to get ready. So let them know the behavior expectation ahead of time before you set that transition. Set the transition, and then maybe I would say do it maybe double. So if you want them off in 2 minutes, set it for 4 minutes, and then give them the 2-minute warning. Yes. And then and then when the timer goes off, remind them, it's that teaching moment. This is the time we're going to do this. Remind them the behavior expectation. Right. And then make that transition fun. Yeah. So maybe when the timer goes off, say, okay, now we're going to, and again, make it into a game or just make it playful. Let's hop to the sink to wash our hands first and on one foot, depending on what their age is. I mean, my 12-year-old still gets into it. So even though it sounds like older children won't respond to this, they actually will, because like you said, they don't get a lot in school anymore. They're not getting as much at home, especially if, because of technology and things. So they do crave that playfulness, and they crave it from their parents. Yes. So make it fun. Hop on one foot to the bathroom, wash your hands before mealtime, or, say the first one downstairs gets one extra cookie for dessert if you want to do it that way, or, give them a sticker. I'm really big into like reinforcements and sticker charts or things like that. So if they're the first one downstairs with their hand washed and they're sitting at the table ready to go, give them a sticker. And if you have more than one child, give them both a sticker. But there's so many ways you can do it and make it fun, where you can, make up an animal and say, let's roar like a lion on the way to whatever, if they're really small, or have a puppet do it. I'm really big on having puppets give the rules, or the puppets doing the transitions, because children will listen to puppets more than they will parents.
Oh my gosh. Okay, where do we get our puppets? So, do you have favorites?
Yes, I do. I love, just a little plug here, Lakeshore Learning.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I've been shopping there for years. Oof. I have no affiliation. I'm not getting any, credit for saying this, but they really do have the best puppets. They're great quality. Okay. They're fairly priced. They come in all different genders, cultures, ethnicities. They're just good. And animal ones, you don't have to have ones that look like a person. If you have one that looks like your child, even better.
Yeah.
If you can find one. But if not, use an animal one. I have a horse one. I have a pig. I have a frog. I have all these different ones,
That's so
and the
fun.
older they get, the more realistic the ones are the ones that work the best. But you can use really any puppet. And like I said, even the big kids will laugh at it. They'll, "Oh, Mom, you're being so silly." But then they'll still do it because they're not feeling that pressure or that power struggle with you saying, "Get up and do it now," right?
Right. When this is like,
yes. Or use your
Mr.
hand. If you don't have a
Frog.
puppet at home, that's okay.
Yeah.
Use your hand. Find the nearest banana. Call them on the telephone or just use your fingers as a telephone. I mean, there's so many things you can do in the moment that you don't even need any of those tangible toys or to spend a lot of money to parent in this way.
Right. Oh my gosh. I think, just these quick strategies are bringing laughter back. And I definitely don't have enough of that at home. I feel like it's a lot of rules and a lot of deadlines and like chop, hurry up, let's go. And yeah, I'm definitely going to take a cue from you.
It's fun, right? Even we're smiling as we're talking about it, thinking how we're going to implement these with our children.
Right.
And, and you're right. Children are told what to do all the time by adults, by their parents, by their teachers, their grandparents, any other caregivers in their life, and coaches, you name it. And so allowing them even to have a choice of to behave or not makes them feel empowered, or do you want to have the frog puppet or the horse puppet, give you the rules today or whatever it is. But anytime you can give them that extra choice to comply or behave or cooperate, whatever word you want to use in your home, the better. So just empower them through even those play-based choices that they can have.
That's great. I mean, and I guess even if you don't want to do the puppets, I guess their stuffies is another way.
Absolutely.
Right? My kids, I have twins are 9, and then my younger one is 7.5. They still sleep with their stuffies, and I love it.
Yes.
It's so sweet. I'm like, wow, they have not outgrown this because they have to decide, like, who is it? Like, is it the lion? Is it the monkey today?
Yeah. So
amazing.
stuffies work. And so I probably 10 different examples of different things sprinkled throughout the book of how to use stuffed animals in an effective way.
Yes.
To help them sleep better at night or to transition or any of those things. How to practice having hard conversations with their peers.
Right.
If it's too hard to talk to their parent about it, have them talk to each other or they can just talk to the stuffed animal directly. I mean, there's so many ways you can use stuffies.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And they're their trusted friends.
Yes.
They're their safe place, right?
Yes, exactly. I wanted you to share the story about the sprinkler.
Yes.
Because this was a teachable moment for a parent. It was one that we can, again, just take a cue from and let loose.
Yeah. It's very freeing. And I think the mentality I share in the book, the essence of the book around play-based parenting or what I call play-it-out parenting is that freedom you get when you let go of all your inhibitions. You let go of all of the power and control that you have about your day and what you expect to have happen. And you let go of your anxiety around play because, again, I think as a culture, parents are told by a certain age, you don't play.
Yes.
It's not acceptable to play. It's not appropriate for you to play, even if it's with your children,
Yeah.
more or less with, each other on a mom's night out or whatever it is with your partner or spouse or whatnot. So the sprinkler story. So years ago, my children were much younger and we were on a witching hour walk, just to get out of the house, change of environment, get some fresh air before the bedtime and, dinner hall. And we were on a walk and I was pushing the stroller. The kids were on the sidewalk and we were walking by this big grassy area and the sprinklers were on. And my children were begging to play. Mom, can we go run in the sprinklers? Can we go run in the sprinklers? And my first thought was no.
Yeah.
Because I was about to go back to dinner. Like I had my
Right.
schedule set for the night. We have dinner at this time and then bath and bedtime and whatnot.
Yes. And then you're going to wet clothes and I got to
Right.
do laundry.
And I don't want to do laundry and I just didn't want the mess and the extra work really. And so I said, no, we're just going to go straight home today. Mommy, please. And you're begging me to go play in the sprinklers. And so I finally said, okay, fine, 5 minutes. You can have, going back to the 5 minutes.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
5 minutes, you can go play in the sprinklers. And they just ran in there without any hesitation.
Aww.
And this were having just the laughter, the joyfulness, the freedom, the smiles. And I just was watching them from afar, almost disengaged because I'm watching them from the sidewalk. And I just said, you know what? This is one of those moments where it's just like all of that stress and anxiety and power and control melted off of me
Yeah.
in that moment. And I put the stroller into park and I ran into the sprinklers, clothes on, and I mean, just like I just my shoes, everything. And I ran into the sprinklers and I just ran around with my kids for just a few minutes of just pure bliss of just running and getting wet and not caring about the laundry or what time dinner was going to be or anything like that.
Yes.
And it was such a beautiful moment. And honestly, in 12 years of being a mom, that is one of the moments I remember the most because it was the most meaningful, but we were connecting through play.
Right.
And through joy and through fun. And that's the freedom, that's the mentality that I share in the book. When you can get to that point, and you may not get to that point every day, realistically you're not. But if you can get to that point, even every once in a while with your children through these strategies, that's just going to lend so much of those core memories that we all talk about and such a more beautiful, deeper connection with your children. It's going to lend to better behavior, better communication, and honestly, just more fun with your children. So
oh, I love that.
it's possible for every parent, even you know, in the midst of a stressful day. Actually, I recommend doing those types of things. The more stressful you are, people don't think, oh, I don't have time to play, I don't have energy to play. Yeah. Things are too stressful. It's too busy of a day. And that's true. But take 5 minutes out. Yes. It'll revive you, rejuvenate you, re-energize you if you just give it those few moments. Yes. And then the stress won't feel as heavy.
Oh my gosh, it'll melt away. It's like turning that frown upside down. It's really
it expels all those happy hormones. It really does. The endorphins, the serotonin, the dopamine. That's what I think parents are missing. It's that secret sauce that they think, well, when we're done with our chores or done with our homework or when it's time to play, maybe on the weekend or whatever the case may be, then we'll play. Yeah. Almost like it's a privilege or, you know, only if. Yes. But I'm saying, no, put it first. And it's going to make everything else so much easier for you in the long run.
Yes. Everybody's in a good mood. And that actually brings me to, I want to go into your 3 C's because I feel like it's a good thing to remember. One thing parents hold on to is control, but yours are different.
Communication. Compliance and connection.
Nice. And so all of them kind of feed each other in this, you know, like Venn diagram?
They do. They do. So the more you connect with your child, the better communication you're going to have with your child. And that's going to lend to the better compliance or the better cooperation. Yeah. So they really all, it is like a Venn diagram. They really, I have a diagram in the book even, they go hand in hand. Right. And you need all 3 to make that circle to keep things moving smoothly. And if there's a breakage in that, you know, when I took my first play therapy course years ago, the first thing they told us is when you become a play therapist, you have to establish trust and safety first before you can do anything therapeutic. If you're trying to heal them from trauma or anything they're dealing with, you won't be able to get through to the child if you don't do it through play because that's their language. And if there's been sessions I've had where we don't talk at all. We just play.
Like, oh, wow.
And it helps, you know, it still helps therapeutically, maybe sometimes more so because that's their language. That's how they're healing is through all that. Aww. And so I'm taking those practices from the therapy room and bringing it home to parents for their home because, you know, you first and foremost establish that trust and safety. You do that through connection. You know, do it through a play-based way. That's done also connecting. Right. And then once they have that foundation of that trust and safety, and they know it's safe to talk to you. Yeah. And then when you do need to set a limit or a boundary, then the compliance comes in because they're going to be much more cooperative to those requests because they know that trust and safety is there and they know that's not how it is all the time. And so they're much more likely to comply when those requests come in because you've already set up that trust, safety, play, and connection first.
Okay. Wow. We are going to have to do a lot of reshaping at home because I'm thinking of how, you know, my husband kind of has things set up. It's very routine. It's almost drill sergeant militant. And I think there's a way to still check things off and have fun doing it. So I'm thinking of our morning routine. They have 8 steps that they do. And it's like you wake up, you wash your face, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, and then make your bed and get changed. Do something physical. So they have like a chart where it's like either push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, something like PT.
Yeah, I love that.
AM, and then prayer. Yep. And then they come downstairs for breakfast. And so we divide and conquer. They're doing all of that upstairs while I am getting the lunch boxes and breakfast ready downstairs. But I do see how the kids get a little anxiety ridden when they oversleep. And then even I'm like, all right, guys, we got to go. Like, who's coming down? And like, how do we make that fun? And, and even like, my husband too, not have to be like cracking the whip in a way like, you forgot your bed or you forgot like.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is going back to that piece of letting go a little bit, because if they can accomplish most of their tasks, then let's reward them for that. Let's reinforce them for that, right?
Yeah.
Focus on the positive, focus on what they are doing right versus what they're not doing right.
Okay.
Praise them for it. Great job for getting your teeth brushed very quickly. Great job for making your bed this morning. Really focus on the behavior you want, because research has shown when you focus on the behavior that you want, that's the behavior your children are going to repeat.
Yes.
Most of the time.
It's a driving
because
force.
they don't know. And so be specific.
Yeah.
Don't just say good job getting ready this morning, because they're not going to know which of the 8 steps you're referring to.
Yeah.
Is it all of them? Is it one of them? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And so really praise them for those moments, and even show them a little grace if they're not, because we're all human. I think it's great to show a little bit of that humanness with them. And even if you don't get ready on time and say, mom was running late too, I overslept and I didn't get ready on time, and normalize that for them, that they don't have to be perfect, that you're not perfect, and, give yourself grace and give them grace too, because we are going to have those mornings and those days that happen. Mm-hmm. So, take a deep breath. I have some mindfulness practices in the book for parents and for kids.
Yes.
Because we all need them, on how to, in that moment, just, again, let go a little bit. And, maybe I know in my house that happens sometimes, and we've actually implemented just getting up earlier and just having more time so it isn't so stressful in the morning.
Right.
Sometimes another mom said this to me. She said, why don't you do the lunches the night before?
I know.
I was I need to do that, and I still don't do that because I have my routine, right?
Exactly. Well, my kids are fussy. They're like, the apples get a little brown. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Mine are the same
They're
way.
Still Honey Crisp and they're crunchy, please.
Right. My 9-year-old's the same way. I get it. So, whether it's changing the structure of the routine itself, I think it's great having those exercises in the morning. I was just going to say, in between each task, say, okay, now you do the jumping jacks, or, keep them moving, keep that momentum high. And like I said, make it playful. Maybe you can throw in like a hop on one foot, or, roar like a lion from one thing to another, or whatever it is.
Cool,
you could still implement those things in too, and then, like I said, praise them for the ones they're doing right, and say, okay, or like I said, time them. We talked about at the beginning, like, their record for their personal best for that day. Or a lot of times too, if they did 5 out of the 6 tasks fairly well, focus on those things. Like, okay, I'm going to help you with the other one next time. Or maybe have that conversation with them after the fact.
Right.
What can we do next time to make this one a little bit easier? And a lot of times they'll tell you.
Yeah.
And have them be
the
part
order or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Switch the order. That's a great one.
Yeah.
But have them be part of the conversation. I think my whole point is
brilliant.
Let them be part of the decision making. Let them be part of setting their schedule and what order they do it in. And I think just the more empowerment they have, the more choices they have in all of that, I think goes a long way.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's talk about just aggression, big emotions. And this can be, when you have really little kids, biting, hair pulling, throwing things at each other. And then when they're older, they say mean things. The sibling, almost like cutting. This is real. They're just like, well, you're not good at that. Or like, you missed that ball, or, and it just... it's awful to just even be a fly on the wall when they talk like that. So how do we help them manage those negative feelings?
Yeah, it can be tricky. And I think it's, again, I always say this, that, there's not a one size fits all for parenting, and there's really no official manual. I try to do the best I could to do as much as I could in 250 some pages, but, you only can write so much in a book. So, some of it is going to be a lot of trial and error to see what happens and what works for your child specifically. And I feel like every parent is the best expert for their child because there's different developmental levels, and whether they're neurotypical, neurodivergent, like there's so many factors to come into play here. But typically, I would say that the first thing you should do is validate their feelings.
Okay.
If they're upset, if they're frustrated, if they're overwhelmed, really go after naming the emotion, sharing what that emotion looks like, sharing what that emotion feels like, and tell them it's okay to express it.
Okay.
Really validate that and say, yeah, I was angry too that your sister took your toy. I'm sure that was really frustrating. She should have asked first. And then, validate that. And then you also want to make sure that you establish the boundary for the behavior.
Okay.
So if they do start biting or hitting or, whatever the case may be, you say, but we don't hit our sister, when she takes our toy. And so really establish, safe hands. We don't do that. That's not the rule in our home. Don't make it personal. They're not responsible for our feelings as parents. So a lot of times I'll hear parents say, well, that hurt mommy's feelings that you were so mean to me today, or you said something mean to me today. And even if it does, I'll say lay the guilt on your children like that can be detrimental in the long run.
Right. Makes sense.
So really make it about the rule of the home. In our home, we don't say negative things. We don't curse, or we don't, do whatever it is. And remind them of that and say, in our home, we say compliments, or we say nice things. And if we're angry, that's okay. Anger is okay, but how we express it can be, A, B, C, or D. So a lot of things I'll do is, especially kids that really struggle with anger and aggression, so much so I have a chapter about in my book because it happens so often, especially those big feelings. And so I'll get children a pillow. And they can go to the store, they can go to Home Goods or Target or wherever, and they can pick out their own throw pillow. They can color it, write their name on it, and really make it their own.
Yeah.
And when they have those big feelings, they can take the pillow, they can hit it, they can kick it, they can jump on it, they can stomp on it. Sometimes if it's a clear place and they're not hurting themselves or someone else, they can throw it against the wall or just scream into it. Obviously with supervision, I'm always scared of suffocation. So supervision on if they're screaming into it, but scream as loud as they can. It really gets out that negative energy.
Wow.
And, but give them an alternative. Right. So, or if, they want to punch a punching bag, I have those little bot bags that you punch and it comes back up. Those are really great for children too. So make sure they know what is acceptable and have an alternative. So when they have those big feelings, well, what do I do? Because I think a lot of children don't know what to do when they have those big feelings.
Right.
And so letting them know what is acceptable in the home is really what is the teaching moment that we need to share with them.
Yes.
So those are just a couple ideas. I have an anger box that we can do. We'll just take an old Kleenex box or really just any box. They can color it, decorate it. My kids put googly eyes on the top of it. And the top of the Kleenex box becomes the mouth and you feed the angry monster. Right. And so if they're angry about something, if they're old enough to write on a Post-it or a piece of paper, they can do that and put it in the box. They externalize the anger on paper so it doesn't stay inside of them and have that bottled up kind of angry feelings where the aggression will come out of later on. But they put it in the anger box. Or if they're not old enough to write yet, they can draw a picture of what made them angry. Just like a little stick figure. They can name their anger, right? They can name it something. I think I use the words Mark and Joe in the book, but it could be Bob or it could be Bubbles or Volcano or whatever it feels like to them.
Right.
And that's their code word. And so then you can teach them also when you're starting to feel those bubbles, teach them what it feels like and those psychosomatic type symptoms they're having, those physiological symptoms of maybe a stomach ache, a headache, sweaty palms, fast heart rate. Teach them what that feels like to start feeling angry and feeling aggressive when they want to kick, they want to hit, they want to bite, and then have them explain that to you. Okay. And then you'll be able to put a code word on it and say, Mom, I'm feeling that volcano again. And then you both know what to do. It's kind of like their code word of I'm starting to get angry and I'm about to hit someone. And if they can catch it in time or if you can catch it in time, I'm all about being preventative and proactive. Yes. So catch it ahead of time and then say, okay, that volcano's coming. What do we do? Let me get your pillow out or let me get an anger box or whatever it is that you taught them on how to handle it effectively. And then they'll get through it and it'll be much better than trying to wing it and handle it in the moment.
Yes, yes. The body keeps score. So if we have ongoing stress and we don't actually have an outlet, it's bad.
Yeah. And physical symptoms. Yes. I mean, our immune system goes down. We have lack of sleep. And of course, that leads to a whole slew of other things. So it really can disrupt so many things. Stress alone. Yeah. Internally, externally, it's a problem. So the more coping skills that you have in your back pocket, the toolbox, if you will, that's what's going to help you and your children in the long run. Because if you're elevated or you're dysregulated, then your child most likely will be also. And so to regulate ourselves first and then expect our children to follow suit, they feed off of our anxiety. Yeah. So if we're anxious, they'll be anxious and so forth. So that's why I have these skills in the book for parents and children also, so they can do it for themselves first and then help their child, go back to baseline and be regulated as well. Yes. So they can do it together and co-regulate and get to that foundation of, okay, let's take a deep breath and let's start from scratch again.
Yeah. Like a do-over.
Exactly. Yes. Which I also talk about in the book.
Yes, so we can reset. There's so many gems in here. Oh my goodness. One big takeaway that I'm going to do with my family is make sure we have more fun as a unit. And I love that there was reference to charades, scavenger hunts. I want to play board games, just playing games, you know, because we know the dopamine hits that they're getting from video games and being on screens, and then the blue light that they're taking in all the time. We know all the kind of ramifications of that. But here is a way out. It's like, how about you try this? And doing it as a group just makes your kids feel like, oh, you're in it with me. You're not just telling me to stop. So yeah, it's great. Yeah. And we're going to start with board games this Friday. So
I love that. Friday night game
excited.
night. Family game night. I love that.
Yeah. We need to revive it. Do you have any like fun recommendations for that?
Yeah, I mean, I love board games. I love making them even therapeutic. You know, you can even get like a Jenga set and then write questions on it of what was your favorite moment of today, or what's your favorite game, or what's your favorite color, depending on their age. You can write little questions on the Jenga when they pull the little block out. They read the question, or you can read it for them. And then it's a way to communicate and grow that connection through communication at the table.
Okay.
You can do the same thing with Candyland. If they're real little, they can, you know, the colors on the cards, you can still find a Candyland with the cards on it. You know, red can mean angry. Green can mean happy, yellow can mean worried, whatever it is. And then you can say, when was the last time you felt worried? When is the last time you felt this or that? You know, and a lot of games can be, you know, made into something therapeutic like that. So a nature scavenger hunt is one of my favorites. So if anyone has a neighborhood that they can walk outside, do a nature scavenger hunt. You can do an indoor scavenger hunt. And I have a chapter on, you know, parenting for the exhausted, overstimulated, you know, overwhelmed parent, of ways that you can play with your kids and still connect with them, even if you're not playing with them directly.
Yes.
If you're cooking dinner or doing laundry and they're drawing at the table, you can say, okay, now draw me a picture of a turtle, or draw me a picture of a beach. And then you're still communicating with them through their play, or have them put on a fashion show for you, or and you just watch
you're
them.
Just watching,
and you're still present and intentional, but you don't have to actually sit on the floor and play with them and connect that way.
If that's the bane of your existence, there are alternatives.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's great. Since this is That's Total Mom Sense, I love asking my guests their mom sense moment. And that is a point in time where you trusted your gut. And I know that happens all day, every day, but there surely is one that you remember.
Yeah. I'll say first one that comes to the top of my head is letting go of trying to control my kids by overparenting them.
Okay.
And letting them fall and get hurt if they're playing on the park and they're going down the slide and I feel like they're going down too fast, or I just know, oh my gosh, they're going to skin their knee. And but not saying be careful, be safe all the time, and kind of lending my anxiety to them, you know. So if they get dirty, it's okay, I can clean them up. If they get hurt, it's okay, I can kiss their boo-boo and put a Band-Aid on it, you know.
Right.
And just let go of, you know, really interfering and coddling them too much and overparenting, giving them more agency, giving them more autonomy, because, you know, we know as parents, our brains are fully developed, theirs isn't. And so, you know, we know how to pour milk into a cereal bowl without spilling it.
Yeah.
They don't.
Oh my God. I hate that that happens so often.
I know. But the more we let them do those things, it only increases their independence, their autonomy, their agency, their competence, their confidence. And so letting go of a little bit of that. So each time a situation comes up with my own children, I feel like that's where I have to remind myself. I have to constantly say, if they can do it on their own, let them try. It may not be the best way. It may not be the fastest way. But if you have a little extra time, let them do it, because that's the only way they're going to learn. If we keep doing it for them, then in the long run, it's not beneficial to them.
Yeah, they're stunted.
When my daughter she's in middle school now, when she has to email a teacher, you know, she'll say, Mom, can you help me? And I'm like, how about you write it first?
Yeah.
Get the experience of writing it first. And I step back. And that's my mom sense moment. When I step back and say, no, I need you to try it first. I'll look it over before you send it, but I want you to do it first. Or if there's a problem with a friend, I have her go through the scenarios of how she's going to respond to her friend, you know, and we talk that over without me just saying, here, do this.
Oh my gosh.
Because I know what the best case scenario might be, but I want her to experience that firsthand first.
Yes. Oh, I want you to be my mom.
I'll come over anytime.
I know. Too much spanking and time out in our day.
Yes, absolutely. But there's another way.
Yes. We're cycle breaking big time.
Yes, for sure.
Big time. I love that for Gen Alpha.
Yes, I do too. It's going to be, I hope it just changes lives. I really do.
Yes, way more functional and like cooperative. We all win.
Yes.
Okay, a rapid fire round as we close out. One parenting myth that you'd like to debunk.
that you have to sit on the floor and play with your child and have active dialogue. I know it sounds like a broken record, but play doesn't mean that. Play can be in those everyday micro moments. It doesn't have to be, I call them purposeful play pockets of time in the language we use, in the ways like we described today. Doesn't mean sitting on the floor and spending hours and hours playing. It just comes in the little moments. And it actually is better in the long run to do that than feeling like you have to, because then you can start getting resentful about the time and energy.
They can tell.
So, yeah.
Yes. Okay. One phrase every parent should stop saying.
Don't, know, and stop. If you can eliminate those 3 words from your vocabulary, your life will change for the better.
Wow.
And I actually I have a whole section in my book about that.
Yes.
The language we use, just those defensive words, it automatically makes children push back.
Shut down. And okay, so then what should we start saying? Some words we should start saying in our vernacular.
So instead of saying don't run, you can say please walk, or you're not listening. Let's say put your listening ears on. I mean, there's different ways. And again, I give examples in the book, but just changing that language to a more positive way than shutting down with the no, don't, and stop.
Yes. I loved when you said like make a better choice.
Yes.
Or is that your choice?
Exactly.
And they get to explain, because I'm not telling you what to do.
Exactly.
I love it. The most underrated parenting tool.
Play. I really mean it.
Mic drop. Yes, it really is.
That's it. One word.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It'll change your life.
It'll change everybody's life.
Like I said, backed up by research and evidence that it works. And it's just an underused modality that will change parents' lives if they just used it more.
Yeah.
And if you just are open to it and embrace it, then I teach you everything you need to know.
Yes.
And it'll change lives.
I loved it. I love this book. Tell us where we can find this amazing book and follow you, Parentologist.
Yes, the book is available everywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. If you go to my website, theparentologist.com, I have lots of different links on there on my book page that you can choose from, some independent bookstores and Books A Million, all sorts of places. I'm most active on Instagram. My handle is @theparentologist. And of course, I just shared my website, and I'm pretty much on all the socials. But
you are.
And then I even have my podcast, the Parentologist Podcast, where I interview lots of different celebrities and experts and doctors and things like that you can learn more from as well.
That's great. And fun fact, she knows all about Disney.
I do. I'm a Disney mom. Walt Disney's quoted in my book a few times because he's like the ultimate play therapist as an adult. I mean, he created a train in his backyard to ride around as an adult, while he was creating Disneyland. And he's just such an inspiration, I feel like. Fred Rogers is another one. Yeah. There's so many people that came before us. Mary Poppins.
I know. This is, who we grew up with in the best kind of way. There's something so magical and miraculous about those places and play. Well, anything else you'd like to share with the listeners and viewers?
Thank you for being open to this, and I really hope the book changes your lives, and I hope you grab a copy of it and enjoy it.
Yes.
I love feedback.
I love it.
And connect with me. Please find me on socials and connect with me. Send me a DM that you listened to this episode, and I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is @Kanika Chadda Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't already. Thanks for being in my tribe.